something behind your back, only for you to have been able to see the entire thing all along. Spawning the Wither makes for a pretty good prank, but it's also pretty destructive, and you don't want it to go around and then destroy your stuff after it destroys your friends. And here's how to get all that same scare without having to do any of the cleanup that's associated with it. All you have to do is act like you're gonna spawn the Wither in the middle of your friend's house, but just make sure that you're placing the soul sand blocks above any non-air block. It could be something like torches, grass, string, carpet, whatever. As long as it's not air, any of those will keep the Wither from actually spawning. Or you could also place down the 3 skulls of the Wither formation first, and then put in the T-shape underneath it. That'll also stop it from spawning, since the game only checks if the skull is one of the last blocks placed, which should give you just the right amount of scarecrow to be able to scare your friends. And hey, if it doesn't work, you can always just break one of those skulls and build it the right way. That's sure to scare them. If you know that your friend plays around on lower render distances, then this is the perfect prank to play on them. All we gotta do is use a fishing rod or a bubble elevator to get them up into the world height, and then recreate skyblock up here in the sky. I guess that part's obvious. So then, when your friend finally wakes up from going AFK, they'll think that they've logged on to an entirely different server. Or at the very least, they'll be very confused on how to get down. And honestly, speaking as someone who likes skyblock, I wouldn't even be that angry if you played this on me. But if you set me up where I couldn't actually build a cobblestone generator, then we'd be having a different conversation. Here's how to make your friend's house a homie. Since most people have windows or openings, they could very easily add some big eyes or a mustache to their build. And it's a lighthearted way to give them a laugh next time that they visit their base. You can even do what we've done in the past, where you make the house into a looking eyes illusion, where you stand from this point, the eyes are looking at you here, and walk underneath, and they'll still be looking at you. It's a great way to make their build come to life, literally. Making a shop on a server is a great way to make profit. But see, where most businesses go wrong is that they sell products that actually work. And that's how we're going to increase our profit margin. Since by having a weapons, armor, or tool shop where the items are dispensed out to your friends, we can have it so that they have no idea that they're actually buying tools that are almost near broken. At least, until it's too late. And to make that armor even better, give it cursive binding, and then they'll really be stuck with having to wear it right until its bitter end. But luckily for them, that's coming soon. And the best part is that they can't even salvage the item back in an anvil, since once it's on them, it's on them. Another data pack that you can use to trick your friends is this one from Vanilla Tweaks. Since while the Warden itself would be pretty loud, I mean, they have an attack called a Sonic Boom that kind of gives it away. If you take a name tag and rename it to Silence Me, then when you add that on top of the Warden, it'll no longer make another noise for your friends to hear. And now the only thing that'll tip them off to the Warden nearby is the darkness effect, which is definitely noticeable, but it's also definitely confusing. So I think the prank still works either way, especially if you manage to tuck one of these inside your friend's house. Then by the time they get the darkness effect and start wondering what's happening, it'll already be too late. Tinted glass is a very popular block to use now at mob spawners, which I think is too bad for our regular stained glass, and that's how we're gonna fix it. Since if you use black stained glass in place of their tinted glass, they look visually very similar, except for one key difference, being that the black stained glass actually doesn't stop the light level from coming in. And at that point, they'll be very confused as to why their spawner farm stopped working, since even though it visually looks the same, it's just that little bit of light level that's able to throw the whole thing off. But it's their fault for needing a view and window. Here's how to turn your friend's giant piston door into way more of a domino effect. Since by just taking one of the pistons inside of the giant redstone or slime honey block door and turning it around, then all of a sudden, all the slices of the door aren't moving in sync, which can then cause them to stick together and seize up the entire contraption, until eventually you have a cascading effect and the entire door falls apart. I mean, it's their fault for having that fancy of a door for their vault. Having stuff to put inside the vault's already a flex. You don't need to also show off on the door to keep people out. Here's how iron helmets can be one of the most annoying items in Minecraft. Since taking a page out of Wreckcraft's book, if you place down 1,000 helmets inside of your friend's base, place them inside of item frames, armor stands, and every chest that they have, it's gonna take a long time to clean up. For one, helmets aren't stackable, and even the armor stands only stack up to 16, which is itself very annoying. And while it seems like it would cost a lot of iron to do this, that is true, but it's also not like the iron that they're gonna get out of it is very usable. Once you have diamond armor, whoever needs an iron helmet? And the most you can get out of these is just a couple of measly iron nuggets, which is a far cry from the 5 iron ingots that you were spending otherwise. So if you have a proper iron farm and the time to set this up, it's a really effective prank to play on your friends.